Hello everybody, welcome back to Push and Paint, or if this is your first time joining us on the channel here, welcome to Push and Paint. I'm Jonathan Strong. Thank you so much for joining me. Guys, it's been a long time since I've painted anything at all. I want to say that it was in the winter time, probably 3 or 4 months ago. It is now July. It's a hot summer night. And so what better way to spend it than sitting in your basement where it's a little bit cooler and it's dusty and smells a bit, but that's okay. We're going to make it smell like paint and mineral spirits and creativity. Sorry it's been so long. I just haven't had the inspiration, I guess. Sometimes that happens. That's okay. What's important is that eventually we get back to it. So I'm gonna start off with something might be simple. Honestly, at this point in time in recording, I have no idea what I'm going to paint right now. So hopefully between now and the next clip I come up with something. So without further ado, let's push some paint. There we go. Okay, guys, I'm not sure why I'm so nervous about doing this, but I am. So what I'm thinking, I want some dark storm clouds here on the horizon. I don't even know if I've got enough paint down there, but we're going to put some dark clouds over here. They're really far away. How's that coming out? Super dark, okay. It's hard to tell what's going to show up and what's not, but I want a big thunderhead off here in the distance. You know, we're going to put these down and then we're going to blend them out so that they just sort of hover in the back there. And just kind of swirl them around like that. Big, heavy storm clouds underneath. And big thunderheads way off in the background. You know why? Because I love that contrast that you get when you have dark clouds coming. This is just the beginning of these clouds. I'm going to refine these quite a bit with my smaller brushes here, but I'm just getting the basic shapes of them down, and you can see it starts to take a little bit of shape there. You know, we get the basic stuff here. We got different layers of clouds everywhere. We're going to go all the way down to our horizon. This cloud layer is just kind of covering everything. See how that makes it just put little bits of white in there, right? And then kind of blend that out. It softens that dark line, but I still want some of those shadows in there, you know. And we can come through and put some more in there. I'm gonna put some white in there, a little bits of, and when you mix the white with that lavender color that I already got on the canvas, which is just a little bit of crimson and a little bit of the Prussian blue, what you get is this kind of grayed out lilac color. The more dimensional that looks, you see, the more I put those purple spots in there, the more angry that looks. So we got a little bit more detail in there. And what we're going to do, I don't want to go too crazy, but this is how we really make our clouds kind of pop. We take little bits of just, not straight white, I got tiny little bit, and I mean tiny, little touch of black and blue mixed in there. Okay, and what I'm doing is just tapping the tops of these clouds. And what those are doing, you see that I'll blend that down. But I want it to stand out right now. Okay. And then I will blend it in to my clouds overall, because I don't want them to be big white puffy clouds. You know, that's not what we're going for. We're going for that dark foreboding thing. But what I'm doing here is just accentuating the edges, because the edges are catching that sunlight and it's giving us some depth. You know, this is now one giant two-dimensional stack of clouds. What it is several layers back and forth. So we're gonna put these edges on here, and what that does is gives us a little bit more depth. And we just blend that really light gray, almost white, down into our other gray. You see? We can even come down here and we can put a little line here. Just put a little bit more on there. You notice with these really bright whites, now I start to pick up my background color too. Okay, so I got to make sure that I clean my brush off a little bit. I've got a shop towel here. And once I want the blending, you know, I want the mixture of it, which is fine, but I definitely want some distinct layering. So to do that, I don't want everything kind of blended together. You know, I just have to use my shop towel and just give my paintbrush a little tweak there. Okay, and make sure it's relatively clean. It doesn't have to be sparkling clean. It doesn't have, you know, it can have little bits of paint on there, but I want it relatively clean for when I go back and pick up the white gray, because if it's not, then I just keep putting around that same background color. Okay, see, that gives us some more, you know, put a little bit in there, and we come down, and now you look at what we end up with here is every cloud comes down and starts out with a nice bright color and then comes down into this shadow of darker cloud. So our clouds are white at the top, and then as they thicken and are filled with rain and oversaturated and everything, they're ready to burst, you know, they've got this bluish purple color to them. Nubs and knobs give us all kinds of cool details on our clouds. Makes them look so much richer and livelier. You know, clouds are my favorite thing to paint. Somebody asked me, what's your favorite thing to paint? You know, it's probably clouds, because they're so wild and they're easy if you want them to be easy, you know, but you can work with them and make them even more detailed and difficult, and you know, it depends on how much time you want to spend on it. What we're going to do is we're going to let this background dry, this dark color, the main color, dry a little bit of the way. I know I'm covering up some of these clouds, but this is just our background here. I gotta keep my reference photo out here so I can keep my perspective in mind. But what we're doing here is there's nothing there, but we're gonna come in and I was out at the lake the other day, and the sky wasn't quite the same, but that's the wonders of making art, is you can mix and match different things like this together. So what I saw was lots of kids out having fun in the lake, in the water. Lots of little, I mean, really all you could see from where the boat was little blobs of color, you know, just little bits of color here and there for people, and everybody was out having fun, having a good time. Lighter green, come through here, and just our little path that goes off that way. Like so. Okay. I almost, as I'm looking at a reference photo on my phone, I almost touched the paintbrush to my phone like it was the palette. I would not recommend that. Just a heads up. Come through here. What I'm doing here is just establishing my not my shoreline necessarily, but my grass line, you know, my tree line coming down here like that, because that kind of sloops down into a hill, and then I've got some nice prominent bushes here. And then we've got water. Right? Just a few little guys here. And you got this nice little pavilion here that we're going to put in. But, like so. Now, it looks pretty dark, but the fun part is when we add the highlights. Now here, we get him nice and cleaned off, and we'll come and do some highlights. I got my whacked out. Let's see where I can zoom in so you can see that. See how messed up those bristles are on the end of that? That's kind of perfect for what we're doing here. Let's hope. I don't want globs of paint on there, but I kind of do, okay? So I don't want to touch that part, but I don't like the way it looks. I don't want to blend it out further. Then I just keep touching it. Make sure my head doesn't get in the shot there. What I'm doing is little bits of detail on these back trees here. You see how we just add that in. And that gives us some leaf shapes. It gives us some definition as well. Hopefully that comes through on camera. Should be able to see all that pretty easily. But that gives us this nice shapeliness to these trees. I'm not trying to kill my shadows. I want my shadows in there. All I'm doing is putting highlighted spots and leaves on here, giving them some texture and shape. Let's see what happens when if you keep touching this to the spot, you pick up the different darker greens too. They get on the brush here, so you blend if you need it, and if you want the individual leaves, you just leave them alone. You just leave a little blurb on there. I'm out of practice, but I know that, but things like this, it's really just about taking your time and remembering what you're doing. You know, every couple of minutes there, just stop and sit back, take a look at what you're doing. I'll keep working on this, and then I'll make a hard edit come in after this is done. We're moving on to the next part. Texture right here on this hillside. Now this is mostly sloping grass, right? But we do still want to have a little bit of character. Come in with a bit of the darker brown. Little spots of scrub, you know, where there's more dirt and everything than anything else, and that just sort of feeds into our color and our shoreline. Just adding some darks and lights to our nice lawn here, you want to call it that, our hill down to the thing. And I know there's stairs here, but I'm not going to try and put the stairs in. I'm just going to take them out. Just look, make it look like this comes around in this meandering kind of way and leads over to the pavilion that we're going to put in later. I want to put the pavilion in later because I want everything behind it to just kind of dry first, because I don't want it to mix. The pavilion is a very kind of exact shape and exact structure, so I don't want a whole lot of blending going on. I just want the bottom to be dry. But the more I look at water, the more I try and figure out what color the water is. Now, depending on where your light is, and this one it's over our head, water has a multitude of colors, but because water is basically just one giant mirror, it just depends on where you're looking at it. So it starts, or at least I'm starting, with this base color, right? And it's a light, almost periwinkle blue that kind of picks up our sky. And we go a little bit lighter towards the top. A little bit more of the yellow and the green mixed in. This is lake water, so it's not exactly pure as the driven snow. It's, you know, there's all kinds of houses, and it's in the middle of a city, so it's relatively clean. But first and foremost, the water reflects the sky, okay? So we're going to put a lot of that color in. I did those brush strokes in there. I don't want them, so what I do is just hit it like this. And that takes those away. Okay. Now I gotta be real careful anytime I go back up and work on anything up here, because I will just simply get paint all over my hand and I'll have a big old smudge and everything else. So lots of little bits of blue. Okay, so now here's the fun part. guys, hopefully my microphone is still working. I think I accidentally left it on last time I was down here, so that was a couple days ago. Anyway, what we're doing here now, as you might be able to tell, is adding our details here. I guess I can use a bigger brush than that, because what I'm doing here is adding some rocks down at the bottom there. Alright, and with rocks we're just going to do kind of a hodgepodge of darks. Okay, that's how we do that. We know there's a bunch of rocks here. Okay, bunch of rocks down at the end of that pylon, or that bridge, whatever it's called, the retaining wall. That's it. And then we come back with our detail brush, thinned out lighter color, and we're just going to put little accents on here, and those create our rocks. Gives it that slick look on the top, because these rocks are going to be wet all the time. You know, they're down by the water here, so yeah, different. We got our retaining wall. It's also got some moisture on it, so we're going to put a little bits of highlight down there. That just adds a little bit of character to it. You see, again, we're not looking for crazy detail here. What we're looking to do is create the illusion of detail. Now what I'm going to do is bring this down a little bit so it just muddies up that water and gives the illusion of a reflection kind of thing. People. Lots of people. Really wet, really thin paint, and just kind of just barely touch it like so as I move my hand kind of around like that, and that just puts those little white caps on there. Gives you that contrast and that glittering sunshine that you get to see. We'll go way down here. Don't forget your signature, guys. Well, guys, I think we've got ourselves a finished painting. I like the way this one turned out. It's just kind of simple. Nothing too complicated. Some trees and stuff like that. Some water in the front. And this is the scene that I see all the time out on the boat on the lake. I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to see. I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to do. The waters are clean. There's lots of people out there having fun beating the heat, and we've only got one planet. This is my environmental message, so let's take care of it. You know, I hope let's keep the outdoors pretty so everyone can enjoy it for years and years to come. Otherwise I'll have to paint all this stuff from memory. That's not good. So anyway, as always, thanks for joining me here on Push and Paint. I'm Jonathan Strong. Go ahead and please like and subscribe to the videos. I am still trying to make videos, and I think it's been a minute, but hopefully we'll get this one out here, and then I'll get another one going, and we'll get some actual painting done. So anyway, thanks for joining me, and until next time, keep on pushing paint around.